Hey everyone, it's Kiki, and lately I've been streaming with my husband, and it has been a lot of fun. It got me thinking though, which can be dangerous at times. It had me feeling nostalgic for when he and I first met. You see, we didn't meet in your typical way, although he did say the corniest lines to impress me. We met online, and while in the world of dating apps, that doesn't sound too weird, back in the early 2000s, it was almost unheard of. And even stranger was meeting someone through a video game. My husband and I met on a game called Fantasy Star Universe, or PSU. It was an online role playing game with an absolute terrible storyline. I mean, everyone who played that game agreed the story was crap, but the actual online game was a lot of fun. When I started to play that game, I was already kind of in a relationship. I was engaged to be married. Hear me out. At that time, my then fiance, we'll call him Jace, and I were kinda in a long distance relationship. He had moved away to work 6 hours away from me and came up with a reason as to why I couldn't come with. But that's a story for another time. So, to spend more time together, I asked if he would play PSU with me. He refused, and I end up playing on my own. So, like in any other game, I found a small group of people to hang out with, and we played that game together. We ran missions, hunted for real loot, and even sat in the game just to talk. We were very close. Well, as close as people can be, being 1,000 miles away from each other. One day, I get online, excited to level my character to level 20. At level 20, I got to pick my advanced class, and it was a big deal. How else was I to get to endgame content quickly enough to farm all the best outfits? Have you seen the Rappy suit? My friends and I ran missions over and over again to get me to level 20. At level 19, one of my friends invited someone else to level with us. This guy was on one of his other characters and was only level 5. We'll call him Mochi. Of course, since we were doing higher level missions, Mochi was gaining levels at a faster rate. For me, the stretch from 19 to 20 seemed like an eternity. It was like we were running a race while I had a ball and chain attached to my legs. And he was like Rock Lee, like in that one episode of Naruto. I thought it would be funny to pretend to get mad that Mochi was leveling much faster, just to break the ice with the new guy. Come to find out much later that he did think I was mad at him. Anyways, since then, occasionally Mochi would join us for a mission on his main character. At one point, he mentions his personal quest in finding the recipe for a really rare and powerful weapon, the Kriya Doubles. We all offered to help him hunt for this drop. It required us to run the same mission over and over again. Oh, young me had no idea how long this would take, and my friends didn't warn me on how low the drop rate was. On that very, very long day, Mochi introduced us to his girlfriend that also played, and we all got to work. Since grinding the same mission was so boring, we talked about all kinds of stuff. Among all of it, I mentioned my romantic relationship. After all of forever, the Kriya double recipe finally drops. And since the rare loot was set to round robin, which means loot rotates between players, Mochi's girlfriend picked them up, and of course, she gleefully trades it to him. And that was the end of that. For a while, Mochi remained an occasional visitor in our main group, as he understandably ran with his girlfriend and her friends, until one day I get a strange message in my inbox. And it was from Mochi, and it only had one question on it. Are we still friends? That was extremely odd. While we played together, we hadn't messaged each other at all. Why now? And why this question? Curiously, I respond, yeah, of course. He invites me to his party and asks if he can come to my in-game room to talk, as this was a way to speak out loud in a voice chat. That day, we spoke for hours. Apparently, his girlfriend had been married the whole time they were dating, and the guy she told him was her brother was actually her husband. The thought of that still gives me the ick. They had broken up and all of her friends that they hung out with took her side. And now she was even demanding that Mochi gave her the Korea doubles, since the recipe was technically her drop. What an insane thing to ask during a breakup. You know those pixels I gave to you? Yeah, I'm gonna need that back. Me and my friend group were the only in-game friends he had left. Now it made sense. Mochi became a permanent fixture in our group, and we end up talking a lot. We had so much in common. He was always willing to help. He helped me in an event even when others didn't. He was so kind, so nice, oh no. I had started to have feelings for him. Remember Jace, the fiance I mentioned earlier? Well, throughout this whole experience, I was still with him. Now, I was starting to fall for another guy. Jace and I had been engaged for about 3 years at this point, but he could never set a wedding date. And if you thought this sounded a bit familiar, yeah, I thought the same thing when I saw The Office several years later. It's okay, Pam. I know your pain. As I mentioned before, Jace had moved away to pursue a job 6 hours from where I lived, and we agreed that living separately was for the best. Well, it was more like he refused the idea of us moving in together despite being already engaged. And to let you know, PSU wasn't the only attempt I made to spend more time together. Often I was the one calling him, and he always claimed he was too busy to talk, and I would make plans for us to see each other more often, do more fun things together, and he never seemed to want that. By the time I met Mochi, Jace and my relationship had boiled down to maybe talking once a week, which ended in an argument half the time, and him coming to visit me to only get one thing. When I realized I had feelings for Mochi, almost a year had passed since the day we met. Why was I with Jace? Was I even happy? Does he even love me? Do I even love him? Am I willing to throw away a 3-year relationship for a guy I met online? All questions I asked myself back then. And I think about it now, and I know I made the right choice. Hey guys, thanks for listening to my story and how my husband and I first met. If you enjoyed listening to it, please consider subscribing and liking my content. It really helps. See you guys next time.